Hi.
Hi, how are
Hi,
you?
Aneesh. How are you?
Good, good. How are you?
Okay. I'm fine. Thank you so much for joining me.
Of
Um,
course.
and it's wonderful. I got the products, and like I was telling them, I loved them. Especially the Glotion and the sleep mask. I mean, I've been using it for the last couple of days, and I honestly think my skin feels better. It looks better. I mean, I can see that visibly because I hardly use a lot of skincare products. I'm very particular about that. It's wonderful to see that, of course, your mother, Dr. Rekha Sheth, is a well-known figure in the Indian cosmetic and dermatology space. She's a pioneer. But you went to the US, you did your PhD, you went to the New York University, you went to Weill Cornell, am I right? And then you worked there as well before you came back to India and you started this enterprise. Now, why did you want to start a range of products for the Indian skin? What drove you to this?
It's so funny that we're talking about this today because my mom, all through her career, used to she used to go abroad, and a lot of the research that used to
Huh.
happen on Caucasian skin. And,
Hmm.
skin of color is different. Indian skin
Right.
is also different. Your skin basically is an organ, right? So it
Yeah.
evolves on the basis of your lifestyle, your environment, what's inside you. And,
Hmm.
it just seemed weird to me that there are 1 billion Indians and we have skincare created for, the 500 million, Caucasian people that exist on this planet. And
Right.
my mom always used to come back and be like, like this machine, for example, like the laser, first hair removal laser that came out, it would
Hmm.
give Indian skin pigmentation.
Right.
And, it was just when my mom would ask the doctors over there, like, how do you deal with this pigmentation? A lot of them would just raise their hands and be like, we don't see enough patients of color, so they didn't really have an answer for it.
Hmm.
And this morning, I just shared an article on my LinkedIn, which a friend forwarded me. And it basically speaks about this story, right? That across, generations of medical education, the
Hmm.
skin of color has been like an ignored minority. And
Hmm.
like certain symptoms exhibit in a different way in our skin, and we have certain issues that are more pressing than other issues that Caucasian skin has. So, for
Right.
example, we have melanin and we tend to pigment a lot easier,
Hmm.
So whereas Caucasian skin, because they don't have melanin, they tend to age a lot faster,
Right.
So
Hmm.
it's almost as though like there was nothing created for us. And I had this
Hmm.
legacy behind me of experience that my grandfather, my mother, and it was just something that I felt. I'm a pharmacist, so there was no way
Hmm.
that, I wanted to be a dermatologist. So
Hmm.
I said, this is the next big thing. Like, this is what I have. This is my skill set. And, let's see if there's a market for this. And, fortunately, people have responded well to the product.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have, not just beauty products, but even products particular to certain issues as well, right? It takes care of, which I think is so important, because, like you said, Indian skin is different, and the kind of issues we have are quite different. And also, I think in India, the temperatures, like in the south, it's always warm. We don't see any kind of winter. So the kind of issues we face as well are quite different. But when you started, this was in 2015, right? When you started your range of products, were
So we
you
started the
very
range in 2017, but I came back and
okay?
started evaluating stuff and, sort of started my R&D, so to speak, in 2015. But yeah.
Right. So the products started coming out in 2017. So were you a little apprehensive at first? Like, how would the reception be? Because India, like you said, even women today that I know would automatically pick up, the international skincare brands because they're so used to it. They're more confident in it in a way, you know. Was that a barrier of sorts for you at all?
I think it definitely was because at the time, when I came back,
Mm,
there was really no beauty industry here. And when I would talk to
mm,
investors or I would talk to people, and it still is difficult because they either bucket you in like the Richfield Batras category or like the L'Oreal Lever category, and
right.
there's like much more to the beauty universe than just these two buckets, so
Mm,
explaining to them that this was a market, the world is getting smaller, like expat Indians exist, like they want skincare that's addressing their needs. And after the last, 6 months with Black Lives Matter, it's suddenly like become this hot topic, even amongst the entire dermatologist and cosmetic scientist community, you know. But yeah, definitely. I think when I first started, even now you see people and they're like, for example, they won't like something about my brand and they'll just dismiss all Indian brands. They'll just be like, these Indian brands are just horrible, like, but then
Yeah.
if you're talking about a L'Oreal or a Laneige or something like that, and you don't like that product, you'll just say, oh, this Laneige product is bad, So
Right.
like there is a distrust, and I think like it's almost documented across cultures. I mean, it's documented across different textbooks that Indians in general are distrustful of each other, as a culture, and it's not really something to be proud of. Or it's a fact. So, and even and I kind of understand that at some level, because even when we were building this brand, we still like the quality checks that we have to be much more in depth than,
Yeah.
if I was like, when I was doing business in New York, it was just so easy. Like you don't really think of a lot of things because you assume that somebody's giving you something when they say they're giving you something. Over here, like one time we ordered 10,000 jars, which were amber colored like our jars, and the vendor sends us orange jars. And he's like, he's just like, make it work, na, ho jayega, chalega, jane do na.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't have half my jars be like amber and the other half be orange, like. So I kind of understand where that distrust comes from, and I think as a result, we pay closer attention to quality and standards, and we try to do our best, as much as you can do as a small business,
You're
and
right.
I think that's definitely something that to pay attention for.
Right. And of course, your products, I mean, the range that you have uses a lot of Indian products, right? When I say Indian ingredients like haldi and so on and so forth, right? There's a lot of that. And it's, of course, it's vegan, it's non-toxic, it's cruelty-free. Were you very conscious that when you started this in India, that you would try to incorporate, local ingredients and, part of our history also has organic, lifestyle, so to speak, not just in food, but even in terms of our beauty habits. Were you conscious as to integrate that into your brand?
Absolutely. So I think when my mom was doing her research, a lot of what she like that, like I said, there wasn't much research that she actually could come across. So she actually had to go back and look at quote unquote natural therapies from different cultures and regions that had skin of color, to
Right.
see like what had an effect and what had science. Now there's parts of Ayurveda which, aren't really scientifically backed, so
Right.
she didn't really incorporate any of those, but things like turmeric, things like neem, things like tulsi, like there is some science, excuse me, to back that. And so she integrated that because, there's two levels to this. One is also the fact that, like it has scientific activity and it will play a role in whatever the product is supposed to do. But I think second is also psychologically, the consumer base was much more receptive to products if she had something organic or Indian-y in the product. So, for example, if she was giving a ceramide cream to someone, and you have to think about this like 20 years back when there was no internet, 30 years back when there was no internet and no, anything of the sort. So, like people used to
Right.
get their information from like Filmfare and Vogue. I mean, there wasn't even a Vogue, I don't think, at that time.
Yeah.
And so like they were familiar with things like haldi and multani mitti and things like that. And suddenly you're using this word like ceramide and retinol and like so people got intimidated. And so it was easier to kind of, give them a product that gives them results if you mix it with local ingredients. And our philosophy has always been we give you what has worked in our experience. It's
Right.
not about Western medicine, homeopathy, Ayurveda. Like arnica extract is something we discovered from homeopathy. Like arnica is great as an anti-inflammatory agent, So it's not about like East versus West or like, Hindustan versus Pakistan. It's what has worked and we're giving that to you.
Right.
So
So one of the things, of course, is that, a lot of international products use a lot of chemicals, and today everybody's become conscious, right? They want to go green, they want to be environmentally friendly, they want to use products which are better for their skin in terms of, use less chemicals in their body, right? If you take your products, what would you say the USP is? And, are the chemical aspects of it, minute, like the percentage of it, is it, less to a great extent?
So I think when you're coming from a scientist background, it's like everything is a chemical. So, I
Yeah.
understand the perception that the consumer has that some things are organic and some things are natural and some things are, but like when you're
Mm.
talking to a scientist, like for you, when I say that like vitamin C, you're
Mm.
considering vitamin C coming from an orange as natural. For me, it's as chemical as if it was synthesized in a lab because it looks the same, passes the same
Right.
tests. There's no way to differentiate. So like the
Mm.
whole idea of chemical and natural is kind of something that I think the cosmetic industry is guilty of, quote unquote, greenwashing, to
Mm.
play into like fear mongering and greenwashing. And I think we've never been shy about what's in our products. We declare all the ingredients very openly and why we use them.
Mm.
Things like preservatives get a bad rep, but in India, you can't really, or anywhere in the world, you can't really launch a product without preservatives because
Yeah.
there's so much bacteria that grows in them.
Mm.
It's actually harmful if you use a product that doesn't have preservatives.
Mm.
So, like the idea is that we don't really, like I said, we don't really bucket, like this is natural or chemical or, it's just, it is what it is. Like we're giving it to you, we're giving it to you straight. And I think our USP is one of it is that it's transparent. We're very clean about and very
Mm.
clear about what we, communicate. Like you need to be aware of what you're using and you can do
Right.
your own research with respect to specific ingredients. And if you have a question, you can message us to say that, hey, this emulsifier looks fishy. Why did you use it? And, we will have an answer for that to say, like this works particularly well in this environment, whereas a normal emulsifier would not. So
Right.
that's, I think the science is the beauty of our products.
Right. But, of course, it's easy. Now, all these products are available online, right? But like, are they available in stores around the country? No.
No. So we
No.
are
Okay.
available in our clinics, but not in,
Right.
we're not in any brick and mortar stores.
Yeah, you're not in any brick and
Except I
mortar
think we're
stores.
in the Nika retail stores.
Okay. But what happens, like, obviously, in the clinics, where people come to you for a consultation, you can tell them, right, what products to use and so on and so forth. But if somebody were to order it online, is there a process by which you can actually prescribe things?
So we're working on that. So we do online consults as well, where a
Okay.
dermatologist can see you and then suggest a routine.
Hmm.
So sometimes you need more than what our product can offer. For example, you need medicines or you need
Right.
certain prescription retinoids and things like that, in which case, the dermatologist will be able to help you. So,
Right.
that's something that we're definitely working on to be able to, make that a seamless end-to-end experience.
Yeah, because I think that would be great, especially for people not in Mumbai, who live in other parts of the country who want to buy your products or even have a good consultation with a good dermatologist, right? Because nowadays,
Absolutely.
thanks to COVID, everything has gone online, right?
Yeah, yeah. Even we're doing remote consults. Our dermats, like you can purchase a remote consult on the website, and our
Mm,
dermats are more than happy to see you remotely. So I think even
yeah.
people within Bombay who live 2 buildings away will still prefer to do a remote consult if it's
Yeah.
possible. You
Yeah,
know.
I think that's what the world has now, come to. But in the last couple of years since you've launched, what are the different kinds of ranges you have in terms of products, skin and beauty?
Sure. So I think in my head, I sort of create the ranges with a theme in mind, and it doesn't really like I don't communicate it that way because, like I said, we're a small company which
Right,
with
right.
limited resources. So like I can't create a new packaging for every range I launch.
Hmm.
But in my head, like the first range was like your basics, like your basic brightening range.
Hmm.
And that was a little bit more from my mom to kind of like, she's like, a lot of our clients want brightening and you have to do this. And so I was like, okay, I acquiesced and I said, this is the range.
Hmm.
My second range, I sort of wanted to create something for the urban customer. So, like you have the Miracle Cream, which is like an all-round cream for someone who doesn't have time for like multiple steps. Wants
Hmm.
one product that does it all, for the time star. Then you have something that protects against blue light and screens.
Right.
We had an anti-pollution cleansing spray as well.
Hmm.
So the idea was to create solutions for the urban customer, you
Hmm.
know. And this range is sort of like I call it the Ayurveda range, where it's science meets Ayurveda. So we take Ayurvedic elements and sort of integrate that with science formulas. So that's basis, like the current range that I'm going on. So,
Okay.
that's kind of where we are right now.
Okay, so what's coming up in the future? What plans in terms of products or, otherwise, do you have for your clients and those who buy your products?
Yeah, so I think there's a lot that's going to happen, I think over the span of the next 2 years. Like I
Okay.
said, we're integrating this entire journey to kind of be end to end for a customer to be able to take a consult, pick the right
Hmm.
products, whether it's
Hmm.
ours or maybe another product, like the
Okay.
idea is that we want to be um, a customer's best friend and,
Hmm.
like not really like, to say that like not push and shove products in your face. That was never my mom's style. And I don't think, it's something that we want to be. We kind of want to be like, okay, fine, this may not be the best product for you, and you may need a
Hmm.
prescription for this. So, I
Hmm.
think in other cases, other products that we're launching, there's a lot of serums coming out. There's
Hmm.
something particularly exciting that will happen in the next 2 months or 3 months, I think.
Okay.
So yeah, and we're looking into like, getting into hair care as well next year, early
Okay.
next year. So, so that's on the cards.
Okay.
So,
So tell me quickly, like about some of your best-selling products, because somebody I just saw, said that your peel is one of the best, and the sleep mask as well. So what are some of the best selling products that people love, that have come out?
yeah, so I'd say the peel is definitely a bestseller. The
Hmm.
Gulab and Glycolic Toner comes after that.
Okay.
Then the sleeping mask. The
Hmm.
retinoid is also doing pretty well. And I think like the Neem BHA, since we've launched, it's almost generated as many views as the peel has.
What
So,
is that? The
it's
neem
a
BHA?
so the neem, it puts together neem and salicylic acid. So it's an acne
Okay.
treatment. So
Okay. Okay.
it's got neem, tea tree oil, niacinamide, and salicylic acid. So it
Okay.
really helps. It's like an all-round sort of acne solution, and it's the
Okay.
season for acne. So,
Right.
you know,
So, what are some of the most common problems you see with Indian skin?
I think,
Pigmentation, acne.
yeah. So I think those are the two big buckets we
Hmm.
see. Like, I mean, if you like at a high level, if you look at it,
Hmm.
pigmentation, acne, aging, which may be, aging is a function. Sometimes it comes out as dry skin. I think what a
Hmm.
lot of people think is dry skin is what we call atopic dermatitis, which is
Okay,
really,
what is that?
really unique. So eczema is a sign of atopic dermatitis. So what
Okay.
happens is that because your barrier is so compromised, Indian skin tends to have a really compromised skin barrier, as a
Hmm.
result of which water evaporates very rapidly from our skin. The
Okay.
pH tends to be a bit higher, ceramide content tends to be lower, but the main function of this is that because the barrier is compromised, think of it like a brick wall. When your barrier
Okay.
is compromised, your immune system is going to get hyperactive. And so when
Hmm.
your immune system gets hyperactive, it's much more, I'd say, sensitive. Like it gets
Hmm.
itchy, it gets reactive, it gets red. And I think everybody in India says their skin is sensitive, which at some level is true. But
Right.
it's also because, there's so much pollution, so much the environment that we have, the dust, it all contributes to
Hmm.
sort of making our skin a lot more sensitive.
Hmm.
So, there's an article if anyone's interested in on my LinkedIn about what air pollution actually does. It increases the sebum content, it makes increases eczema flare-ups,
Okay.
increases aging, certain kinds of pigmentation. So
Hmm. Okay.
that's
What about dryness of skin? Would the toners be great for that, or would is it only the lotions and stuff that will help?
So it depends on the cause of dryness. So, for example,
Okay,
eczema
okay.
can manifest as dryness. Some
Hmm.
kinds of pigmentation, some of the first signs is dryness. Like you don't really get the pigmentation, but you have a dry patch on your face. And then suddenly
Right.
3 months later, you look and it's like pigmented. So
Okay.
entirely depends on the cause. I'd say like moisturizing is, I think, key to Indian skin. It's
Hmm.
definitely like sunscreen, of course, is a given. Like even if
Hmm.
you're indoors, we definitely need to use sunscreen.
Do you
I
think
think,
is that important?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Like I said,
Okay.
Indian
Hmm.
skin is very sensitive,
Hmm.
particularly to the UV, it's already damaged. And I think by not wearing sunscreen, if you're indoors, you have windows, you have doors, unless
Yeah.
you're like in a basement jail cell, which doesn't have any sort of natural light, then you're
Yeah.
fine. But
Hmm.
otherwise, and I think moisturizing is something that's not taken as seriously as it should be, and because
Yeah.
moisture is what strengthens the skin barrier. And we want the skin to be stronger to make sure that, like things don't get in.
Hmm.
So,
But do you think Indians are more conscious about skincare routine nowadays? Because I know that they spend a lot on makeup. That's a
yeah.
different thing. But are they as conscious about taking care of their skin, especially the face? Have you seen a change in the last few years?
Years, yes, definitely. I'd say like even post-COVID, I'd say that people have gotten more interested in
Yeah?
skincare. Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
like it's in general, I think people aren't that excited about makeup anymore because they don't really have anywhere to go. But
Yeah.
for a lot of
Hmm.
people, skincare sort of gives them structure. Like
Hmm.
for me, for example, after I shower, I wear like quote unquote work clothes, which basically just means like the clothes that I don't sleep in. But
Yeah.
like for me, like my day doesn't start until like I put on my vitamin C serum, I wear my sunscreen, and then I
Hmm.
come to my desk. Like if I don't put my sunscreen on, then it's a holiday for me, you know?
Okay.
And by the way, you should be putting your sunscreen on even if it's a holiday. I'm just, like really
Yeah,
bad with
yeah,
things. So,
yeah.
but
Okay.
yeah. So yeah, and I think that's reflected across the industry because I was talking to someone else the other day, and they said
Hmm.
skincare in general is one of the industries that has benefited from COVID,
Hmm.
um, because people being at home a lot more have time to try out different things, and they're not as risk averse as they used to be.
Yeah, and I think that's so important. And I also think that one of the things that's happened in recent times, at least in India, is that people have started to recognize Indian brands, which are niche. I'm not talking about, the lever kind of products, but I'm talking about niche products like Dr. Sheth's and so on, which are, which is great, I think, because it also is an impetus, for us to not just in terms of the economy, but even to realize that we have products as good, if not better, than what they have in the international markets, isn't it?
Yeah. So we use the same ingredients that a lot of international brands use. Like,
Mm.
excuse me, Peter Thomas Roth. I don't remember. There's like, so when ingredient vendors come to us, they sort of say that this ingredient is in this formulation and this ingredient is in this formulation. Like, to the point at which they can declare. They won't mention it's in a specific product,
Yeah,
but they'll
yeah,
say this
yeah.
brand uses this and this brand. And it's really like, we're using the same pool of ingredients. It's not like their
Mm.
ingredients are even coming from a different source at several times.
Right. Mm.
So
Mm.
I think, and we have the intelligence and we have, the skill, so why
Mm.
not, like if you're making it in India, you might as well make it for Indians and add a level of expertise that already exists.
Mm.
It's
Mm.
like if I go abroad and I try on like an African kaftan, that may not necessarily suit me you know
Right.
it's like
Mm.
how much pasta can you eat for your life? I mean, you still want to come back and have like your dal roti sabzi
Yeah. Yeah.
so it's almost like we have that now. We have those facilities, and a lot of our factories are also really advanced technologically because they've been making dermopharmaceutics for a long time. So they
Mm.
have some of the latest technologies. So I definitely
Mm.
think that, like in terms of quality, ingredients, if you're getting it from a reputed brand, you shouldn't have to worry about those things. Again, reputed
Okay.
brand being the key word because, like I said, India quality control, you have to
Yeah.
take really seriously.
Yeah, because I think it's to do with the vendors and who you're getting the products from, and that's, I think, one of the challenges for many people. You have to be extremely careful. But when you've studied in the U.S., you've worked in the U.S., and when you came to India, like, and you started working on this, um, was there a point at which you ever got frustrated? Because things are very different here, and it's not easy to kind of set up a business, especially in this field.
Yeah, I wouldn't say like point at which I got frustrated in the past tense. It's
Yeah.
like I continue to get frustrated.
Okay.
Like I said, orange jars are just the tip of the iceberg. Like every day that you're like, I didn't even know this problem could exist. Like, how does it happen here? You know, whether it's like license Raj, whether it's like,
Yeah.
it's just,
But are you planning to export your products to the US? I mean,
yeah, so we do have, I think
or to
we do
make
have a
something for
market there.
the, yeah, because
Um,
especially skin of color. I mean, you've got, it's a fantastic market over there.
yeah, so I think we'll try that once this COVID thing settles down a little bit, and
Yeah,
it's more
yeah,
comfortable for us to export.
yeah.
But like we get about one or two international orders organically every month, so
Okay.
we know that there's a market there and we've got business partners ready to do business with us. But I think
Hmm.
like we want to tackle the home ground first because I genuinely believe that that's more challenging than like a country like America. Everything is so structured and set up that
Hmm.
it's
Hmm.
almost as though if you find the right partner with the right experience,
Hmm.
there are different challenges, but I
Hmm.
think
Hmm.
it's an easier value proposition. Whereas in India, I'm sort of creating the field of dermocosmetics to some degree.
Yeah.
Like in America, there are so many brands that have like celebrity dermatologist-led brands, like Murad, Lancer, Nicholas
Hmm.
Perricone, Dr. Hauschka, Dr. Jart,
Hmm.
and that exists as an industry here, but that doesn't exist in India, and that sort of is exciting for me, to
Hmm.
make something like fresh, and
Hmm.
it's definitely challenging and frustrating because I think, like I said, most people just look at it and be like, like कोई नहीं बिकने वाला है ये फिर पतंजलि नहीं है ये नहीं है कोई नहीं बाय करने वाला and you're like and like half the reason I think I'm in it sometimes is just to prove those people wrong.
But today, Dr. Sheth is recognized, isn't it? I don't
Thank
think.
you, thank you.
Yeah, yeah, I
It
mean,
depends on who
that's
you're
true.
talking to. Depends on who you're talking to. But I
Yeah,
still think
because
of myself as like a small brand. It's
well, see, I think to the educated person who knows about beauty products, who reads a Vogue, I think they will be well aware of it. Especially, if you're an avid user of such kind of products, right? So obviously there is a certain class of people. It's not you know but the great thing also is that your price range, okay, the pricing of the products is not on the high end, and that was really nice to see. So was
yeah,
that a conscious decision?
yeah. So I think when you come from Bombay, you really learn what. So when I did this business course at IIM, which was like a 2-week course,
Hmm.
and it was about small businesses in India. And the
Hmm.
marketing professor says that there's three buckets to India. One is the mass market. One
Yeah.
is like what he called the quote unquote Delhi people, where everything is overpriced. If it's not
Yeah.
overpriced, it has no value. And I'm using his
Yeah.
words. Huh? I don't. And then he's like, there are the paisa wasulis, like,
Yeah.
so I think Bombay people are the paisa wasulis. They want like their
Hmm.
money's worth. And I think
Yeah.
when you grow up like that, like my mom would organize conferences and,
Hmm.
she would give talks and she would know like basis the ticket prices, like for the same conference in Bombay, where they
Hmm.
would charge like say 200 rupees because they wanted like 200 rupees, you have to give us 2 hours of like really good content. But in
Hmm.
Delhi, like they would say that if it's 200 rupees, koi nahi jayega. Like it's not worth
Yeah.
it. It
It's not
has to be
worth it. Yeah.
2000 rupees.
Yeah.
So, and my mom was just like, it's so strange because, like I get it. I mean, I'm okay with it. I'm okay making more money, but like
Hmm.
it's just that's the way the market, that's the way the cookie crumbles. So,
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree with that because in the South, I think people are more conscious of what they spend on, and I really found that the products were very reasonably priced because if you look at the international brands, they are priced on the higher side, you know, and not everybody might have access to it.
yeah.
Whereas, your products, people can, afford to buy them. It's not that they can't, if they choose to buy good products. So I think it's a choice that they have to make. There are people asking about fairness products. There's this whole debate going on in India about, fairness creams and so on and so forth. But what do you think about that? Would you make fairness products, so to speak,
No.
or do
So
you,
I think
no?
I think unfortunately it's not something that's unique to Indians. I think it exists across all geographies where people of color exist. I mean, even if you look at your J-Los and your Beyoncés from when they first came in to where they are now, it's almost like it's a completely different person.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that's so deeply ingrained in us that I don't think, even though we change the word and the terminology, I'm not sure that it'll go away anytime soon. But I think the bright side is that people are conscious. Like awareness is half the battle. Like you're aware about this product, you're embracing your skin color, and that's fab. I mean, like I think that's amazing. Like even the models that we chose for our campaign when we did a photo shoot, I consciously, like I was very stubborn that I wanted someone like of multiple skin. Like I wanted like not just, we had models that were offered to us that were like, typical fair Kashmiri kind of models. And I was just like, no, like that is not India. I'm making something for Indian skin. I'm making something, and Indian skin is everything from your northeastern Indian to your South Indian to your, your Kashmiri to your Gujarati, like everything in between. And I think personally, we will never use the word fairness. We will never, endorse anything fairness, whitening, anything of that sort. It's about looking and living healthy. Like my mom said, like she always used to say, beauty is health made visible. And that's essentially like the philosophy on which the brand works. So.
Okay, great. And my last question to you, post-COVID, what are you looking forward to? I mean, it's like I don't even want to say post-COVID because I don't know when this is going to end. But, slowly if the restrictions are removed and things slowly start coming back to normal, what are you looking forward to in terms of, for Dr. Sheth as it is and even otherwise for yourself professionally?
I think post-COVID, I think we want to kind of experiment with international waters. We want to take a look and see, if there's a market there. And I think, getting some data before COVID, like shooting ads out there and seeing which geographies respond better to it, is definitely something that we would like. I think also, I think just the idea of the world being one again and not just being like isolated and so nationalistic and in bubbles kind of like is something that I look forward to. Right now, it's just like, you're not even like, you're just scared to step out of the house, let alone go to another country,
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that fear kind of calms down and, like we kind of come to terms with, like that, everybody's like, it's going to be an environment where everything's going to be okay. Like we will get to where we were, or at least that's what I keep telling myself. I'm not sure if it'll actually get there, but it's so I think that's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, I think it will. It's just going to take a bit of time. But we'll hope for the best. So thank you so much for joining me, Aneesh, and wishing you the very best. And all those people who joined in, I just want to say that you can order products from the website, and you can also do consults, right, with the dermatologist by booking appointments on their website. So please do go check it out. And of course, the video is going to be on my Insta Live, so people can, on my Instagram, so people can always come back and check it out. So thank you so much, Aneesh, for joining me, and thanks so much.
Thank you for having me.
No, you're most welcome. The products are really amazing, and I'm so particular that I tried products because, I don't want to recommend something that I'm not happy with.
Absolutely, and you shouldn't.
Yeah.
You shouldn't.
Yeah.
It's like.
So I'm very particular. Yeah. So that's great. Thank you. Thank you so much. Take care and good luck.
Thanks, Latha. See you.
Bye.
Bye.
See you.